get rolling this game, because there's always the Kazakhs to watch out for. Now wins once again 9.5 KDA. Orel not doing so well, 5.4 KDA so far, but if he can get the kills early onto the Ziggs, which should be a favorable matchup for him, I feel that he can carry the game off the back of LeBlanc.
I think it's also because of the fact that Ori is very aggressive. Sometimes he kind of tends to over-aggress where he gets the kill, but the opponent gets the counter kill. So that kind of might explain why his KDA is at such a number. You might see now Ori in a rather peculiar position to use that distortion to try to scout out where the opponent's team is, and he will take a bouncing bomb to the face and somewhat aggressive movements for Impresso to take Ori down, and I think he will choose to teleport back. Definitely in a position where he didn't want to be.
So let's note here that as the two teams are forming up their lines, it looks like Taipei Snipers is actually looking to have a lane swap, sending Astro and Lulu to the top lane, as Zonda on Renekton is hovering around bottom lane.
Yeah, and that's really interesting, because at least for Kaiser, he's going to be playing that kind of who is still at the end of the day a ranged champion, so he is going to be able to take those minions away at a safe distance. But I have to point out, this Caitlyn and Fiddlesticks combination was first made famous by SKT Telecom T1K back then when they were running this composition where Pumandu was running that Fiddlesticks, and of course Piglet was running that Caitlyn. And the great thing about it in a 2v1 situation is that you can use that fear to fear off your opponent, and he will start running around in circles, and then you just can use that to your advantage to let Caitlyn put on some hurt in the bottom lane turret. Then of course we are in the recent patch changes where the bottom lane turret doesn't have the extra protection as it was before. So if Bangkok Titans can play their composition right, I could foresee the bottom lane turret for Taipei Snipers going down real soon.
I actually have to question the decision to come in with the lane swap in this situation. I feel that Taipei Snipers, they feel that because of Malfa and the way that he needs to hit 6 before he can have any effective ganks, so that's why they chose to come in for a lane swap, because their jungle in the form of Winds will be able to help out the solo lane a lot more as compared to what MDD will be able to do with Malphite. But then again, they are up against a Caitlyn siege composition here with lots of wave clear. So I feel that they are taking a little bit of an unnecessary risk here to try and get an advantage in the early game.
Well, I think it's also because of the fact that they can trust in Zonda's abilities to hold his own in a 2v1 situation, and like what we saw in the engages up in the top lane and in the mid lane as well, Orion now going on the hurt on Intresso, and like we mentioned, he loves to play aggressively, but at what cost now? He's taking a whole load of poke damage for not a very good trade at the end of the day, and now Zonda forced to play under his own turret, and Lloyd just putting down the hurt on him, and might feel, just like you mentioned, might be the case where the 2v1 lane swap might not be working out for him, and Kaiser now is gonna let that go being stolen away by the Winds.
So Taipei Snipers carry on with their plan to go for the 3v1 at top lane, with Winds actually getting some counter jungling in at the same time. I like this adaptation from Astro, going for a long swap first when he knows that his team is going for the lane swap. This question will be a better start, because with the long sword, and if you start long sword and 3 pots, you actually get more health as compared to getting the flat health from the run sword, and actually the long sword can convert into items faster for Astro as well.
Right, so we have the 3-man push from Taipei Snipers out in the top lane, and we do have Caitlyn as well as Fiddlesticks down the bottom lane. Now NDD forced to jump into the fray, and he takes a whole lot of damage, has to flash out. Everyone follows through, and God JJ will pick up the first blood. Double buff now running. Kaiser has to flash off.
Oh, the red buff, the red buff.
Down. And he's gonna survive with a slither of health, but a great turnaround from Taipei Snipers. They saw NDD come into range, and there was no hesitation at all. And meanwhile, in the mid lane, Oriel misses the trades, and that's not gonna be enough to pick up in Tesla, but he is laying down the hurt, and overall, it's a great situation for Taipei Snipers to start things off.
So this is what Taipei Snipers needs. This is the game. It was kind of risky, but it paid off for them in the end. They got 2 kills. They got a kill at the top lane, and once again Kaiser forced back. Again, he's still level 1. Kaiser is still level 1. And at this point of time, Zonda will be level 4. So in the case that they both do end up trading turrets, Kaiser will be so far behind, it will be really hard for him to catch up.
Yeah, I thought that Kevin would be able to somewhat hold his own, or real in the mid lane. Take some more hurt as Wins looks like he is not gonna leave the lane. So it's gonna be Taipei Snipers actually picking up the first third of the game.
BKT shouldn't down this tower.
Yeah,
At
so
this point of
Lloyd,
time, I feel that BKT shouldn't down this tower. Because
Lloyd
if they
and
actually
Warlock.
do end up downing the tower, it will just allow for Zonda to simply freeze out the bottom lane, and Kaiser will be frozen out of the game effectively.
Yep, so it's gonna be the case. They will
Team's
take
turret
down
has
the
been
bottom lane.
destroyed.
So they will trade turret for turret, but Taipei Snipers, they are not stopping. They are still gonna continue to push up the top turret. Kaiser is level 1. He can't do anything, but they are gonna go for the dragon instead to try to maintain some global goal back in this game, and Warlock with some footwork to just distract the dragon, get some foot seawork again, but he's taken out 2 turrets and Kaiser is just left to fend for himself in the top lane alone, and O'Reilly now in the frame, but the smite is gonna pick up the dragon, but at what cost? It's gonna be 2 turrets gone 5 minutes in. I'm not too sure that's the trade that Bangkok Titans wanted.
So in this case now, the question will be, will they reset the lane swap at all? At this point in time, Taipei Snipers has got so much momentum rolling in the top lane. You might actually see them actually continue to siege at the top lane, but that looks like it will be unlikely as they recall to the base.
So now Taipei Snipers, they were known to be the team who favors map control and vision control. So with that top lane turret, with 2 top lane turrets gone now, I think they will be looking to just shift towards one of the other lanes. We might see that lane swap coming back in as are we now poising on the map to move back into the top lane, and we might see Zonda just move back up. And like you mentioned, you know, Kaiser not able to do anything at all.
He's level 2. Kaiser is
Against,
level
yeah,
2.
exactly, against Zonda's level 6. I thought for a fact that he should be able to fan off the wave, but apparently that's not the case. Now Wins comes to the middle lane. I think he wants to go aggressive against Trestle, but doesn't have that level 6 just yet. Doesn't have that extra punch from the Void Assault, so he will decide to just stick around. And I think he was trying to catch NDD as well. So let's see what's going to be the game plan.
So now the question is how much. Well, the momentum has definitely gotten rolling for Taipei Snipers as the engagement. There's a little skirmish at mid lane here, but the momentum has really gotten rolling for Taipei Snipers as there's this huge race at bottom lane, and now you see 4 men grouping up for a gang together. This is what Taipei Snipers want. They've really got the 2 towers at top lane. They kind of lost Dragon for it, but now they're compensating for it. Look at the amount of man pressure Taipei Snipers has on the map.
Yeah, and feel like Titans, they might choose not to go for it, but in the end it's going to be Wins that picks up the blue buff, and they will have the successful jungle, counter jungle attempt. O'Reilly now putting on some hurt onto Trestle, but still needs to be very careful. You know, we saw for the most part when he went up 1 versus 1 against Trestle, he still manages to put down the hurt, and now Lloyd taking some damage from our way, but will return some damage with the little Peacemaker.
Bangkok Titans need to play needs to slow down the game a little bit, ward up their own half of the map as they have done, and prevent Taipei Snipers from making any plays or any dives on the bottom lane turret. And at the same time, they also need to buy some time for Kaiser to be able to farm up, and so that Kaiser can get back into the game.
Oh, watching out, are we still playing aggressively? And I think that they have been playing this pseudo competition quite well now in a 2v2 situation. They're putting on some hurt on Lloyd again, so they are not going to be stopping here. For God JJ, he is looking to finish up that Triforce, and he has 2 components of it completed already. And so far, I think that Taipei Snipers, they have slowed down the game pace for a bit off that incredible start, but they are still looking pretty dominant. They still have that 500, 600 goal advantage, and actually Taipei Snipers is gonna go aggressive onto Kaiser. He doesn't have his ultimate, and now Wins jumps into the fray. Look at that slowdown. It's gonna be the kill for Zonda as he secures the kill against Kaiser.
I actually find it quite questionable and he would be actually trying to assist him at all. He should know that he needs to hit level 6 before he can make any significant impact. him just moving to the top lane, that just means that he's going to hit level 6 even later as compared to if he were to just simply stay in the jungle, do some triage, know that his teammates are going to be dropping left and right, and try and get level 6 as fast as possible and get a wombo combo rolling.
And as for Taipei Snipers, I think it was great timing for them. They knew for a fact that Kaiser didn't have that slicing Maelstrom, and they punished him for them. And for that, Kaiser is gonna fall behind once again. If you look at Zonda, he's almost double the creep score.
Yes.
Yeah, of Kaiser.
Yes. And Reaction, the moment he gets the Tiamat up, he can actually use that to reset his auto attack, and it's really hard for Cannon to stay in lane. The moment you come in close to CS, he's just going to slice and dice, get close to you, and burst you down with lots of damage.
That's right, so back into the game, Winslow being the brave guy here, just camping right in the front, and Kaiser will be the one to spot him out. And look at the movements from Taipei Snipers, they don't care at all. They will dive behind the second tier turret in the mid lane just to get some hurt down. Really just punishing Kaiser over and over again.
But we can kind of see the damage reduction from Kha'Zix down there. Usually that would have been a kill given the amount of burst Kha'Zix has with Isolation Ace that failed on top of the Leap. But Leap has taken such a big nerf to the amount of damage it scales with. So we won't be seeing the Kha'Zix really reset as hard as before.
So Taipei Snipers are gonna go ahead with 5 men siege up in the mid lane. The Mega Inferno Bomb is gonna buy some time for Bangkok Titans to regroup as they send both Lloyd and Warlock down the mid lane. And this is exactly what we are very familiar with. Taipei Snipers, they like to group up. They like to make sure that they grab objectives as quickly as they can. But in that situation, I felt like they were a little fortunate because they didn't have the necessary sieging power. And because of the fact that Impressor still has that Mega Inferno Bomb, he cleared out the wave, bought some time, and now Warlock as well as NDD now, they are in the mid lane. They will be able to defend it. And in return, wave clear from Pulse Fire Ezreal with a true shot barrage.
So this was what I was mentioning earlier. Bangkok Titans, they have a superior siege situation. If both teams were actually to go now, I mean, this Taipei Snipers, they don't have that big a lead. It's only about 1,000 gold at this point of time. Khalid has the BF sword, Astral hasn't had his Triforce completed yet either. So the Bangkok Titans at this point of time, they have superior waster, they have superior folk. So I feel that Bangkok Titans at this point of time, they should be grouping up as much as possible and trying to force objectives away from the Taipei Snipers.
You know, hold on. Trestle taking a whole lot of hurt from Oriel. He will use that satchel charge to bounce himself back away, but this is the assassination potential from Oriel like we're talking about. He has to play it really carefully. You don't want to be in a position where a LeBlanc just catches you off guard. He has gone for that Athene's Unholy Grail, which is pretty weird because I think most LeBlanc players, they tend to want to go for those early 8 stack, but you damage now. Oriel jumping into the fray with the chains just landing onto NDD, and it looks like Taipei Snipers, they really want to contest this one. Are they going to get the steal? Looks like that's not the case. NDD taking a whole lot of hurt, and Alwyn getting caught out in a weird position. He looks to be almost down here. Oriel now jumps to the fray, baiting out the slicing Maelstrom, and now Rinse is going to go down because of the unstoppable force. Great turnaround for BKT, but now it's going to be God JJ chasing. Alwyn now going to be in a whole lot of trouble. God JJ is going to block it now. Lloyd flashes in. Oriel now with the chin, double kill now for BKT, but Interestel's still alive. But Oriel's gonna get the assassination down. He gets a return double kill. And overall, it's a 3 for 2 exchange. The Oriel flashback is not gonna catch out Warlock, but I have to say, that was a great fight for Bangkok Titans to be in. You know, they did lose 3 members in the process now. Warlock, what are you doing? Be careful here. You're facing up against an assassin. You don't want to be there.
Oh, Warlock. Oh, Warlock.
Come on.
Oh,
come on, Oriel. Are you gonna do it? Okay, he's not gonna be doing it. But
he's gonna be poking away at the tower.
yeah, so just like what I was mentioning, great position for Bangkok Titans to fight in that one.
Well, Taipei Snipers, I felt that they shouldn't have actually engaged in onto the fight. They already had Zonda at the top lane doubling the turret, so all they needed to do was to prevent the recall from them. But let's take a look. Let's take a look at the replay from that. So we already have Zonda at the top lane going for the turret, and at this point of time, Taipei Snipers identifies that their team has grouped up, and they try to go in for an engage. But Vince must calculate. He didn't account for the fact that Kazakh's damage has actually gone down, and MDD actually manages to pick him off with the help of Warlock Sphere. Now in this situation, TPS is actually in a 3v5 situation as they send one member back to deal with Zonda in the top lane. So at this point of time, they actually drop extremely low. Lloyd comes in, got JJ with the excellent save to prevent away from going down. But nonetheless, Lloyd with the flash over the wall picks up 2 kills from himself, and now Oriel gets the return kill, but nonetheless, he is unable to clean up the rest of it.
Yeah, but with the chain of events there, I think Bangkok Titans, they somewhat pulled themselves back into this game. They are still about 2,000 goals behind, but I think that Taipei Snipers, they really need to be very careful how they approach these fights, because they have to understand, being both Warlock and Trestle, there's a lot of AoE damage, and even from Kaiser as well, with these slicing Maelstrom, so you don't want to be diving into the fray just to fight them, you want to be picking people off, and I think because of that, at the Dragon Pit, they were at the back end of it, where Bangkok Titans, they managed to pick up the kills, as well as the Dragon.
So a little bit of questionable play shot calling there from the Taipei Snipers. I mean, they already had the top lane tower, they didn't really have to go in for an engagement. So now we see once again Taipei Snipers gathering at the bottom lane, trying to get this last final out, trying to get this next objective on themselves.
Yeah, but they have to be careful of Zonda, because while the replay was going on, he actually picked up the top lane inhibitor, just like you were mentioning. So the pathway to the inhibitor is now open. And Bangkok Titans, they really need to respond. You don't want to see super minions marching into your base. Under 20 minutes, it's going to be quite difficult for you to defend, because you don't have any forms of items, any form of damage to clear out that super minion marching into the base. So they will go ahead and send Kaiser for some defensive reasons.
But I always feel that Taipei Snipers is a team that reacts very well to how their opponents want to play. So they know that in this case, Bangkok Titans, they're going for a team competition here. Oh, big ultimate there.
Yeah, but that's not going to matter, and GG actually going to take some kills.
Win's coming from the back.
Third, and Win's now jumping into the fray. There we go, the first pick down to Warlock. Gets straight up, but that's not going to be the case. No, actually, Warlock survives. And now Win's has to run away. Warlock is actually the one to pick up the kill. And Oriel from behind, Mega in front of him, it's gonna rain down. And that's not gonna be enough now. God JJ in a whole load of trouble. It's gonna use the Archangel to escape, but NDD sticking onto him, some rock solid play. But Oriel now finishing things off on Janitor Dulis, clean up the team fight, and he's gonna get some more additional kills. Kaiser, he wants to join the fray, but it's a little bit too late to join to the fray. Overall, a 2-for-2 exchange. Bangkok Titans, they will take that anytime.
When you go toe-to-toe with a quantity that's a hit, oh, and even exchange is actually an exchange in the favor of your team, because you get more experience than your opponent says, oh, Lloyd!
Lloyd have to be careful here. Actually, the Fury comes in for Oriel. He has to
and the
choose
Deceiver tricks it.
Yeah, so now you see me, now you're going for Oriel. Playing it on the high end. Does have the number bar, so a prime target for Bangkok Titans to go for.
Well, I was saying that Taipei Snipers is a team that reacts very well to how their opponents wants to play. So now they know that Bangkok Titans, they have superior poke, they have a superior siege composition, and they know that, oh, let's actually take a replay of what happened about the main down here. So now you actually see the pill of a Peacemaker actually connecting with God JJ, and now you see Winds coming around from the back. This is Taipei Snipers identifying the fact that Bangkok Titans is actually overextended, but the rest of Bangkok Titans is very fast. You will come in as well using the ultimate of 6 to come in. So now Warlock, this calculation once again by Winds. I feel that Winds has been a bit off here in these games. He has miscalculated twice, and because of that he drops, and now got JJ really going down as out. As you now go back to the game, back up from the bomb, dancing once again, throwing out the creep wave.
So Zonda will pop the dominant score, but Bangkok Titans, they will not be too concern now as Intresso does have the Holy Grail completed. He has that mana regen to really clear out the ways. And so far, I think Bangkok Titans, they are holding the ground pretty well against Taipei Snipers. And especially for Bangkok Titans, they will be looking for the victory. Because if they manage to win, if they pull off the victory, then they can challenge for the fourth place position and try to knock out ISG to qualify and go into the quarterfinals.
Well, let's not forget now that Zonda against Kaiser, they have a very big problem. This Crocodile still pushing at the top lane. They can't just send Kaiser to deal with him simply because the Kaiser is just so far behind. Zonda has 2 kills and 50 CS, 53 CS on top of them, on top of Kaiser at the moment here. So now the question is, how can Bangkok Titans deal with the Crocodile in the top lane? So Bangkok Titans, they have lost the wave clear. That's very good, but Ziggs can't clear all the lanes at once. So Taipei Snipers has identified this and they're pushing multiple lanes, pushing multiple lanes at once and putting lots of pressure on Ziggs so as to force him to try and clear the waves as much as possible so that his ultimate will not be available for team fights.
So split pushing is indeed a good solution to try to counter out that wave clear potential. But Dragon is now back alive. Bangkok Titans, they are looking to challenge that again, but Kaiser is not around with them, so it's not going to be a repeat from what we saw here the last time when these two teams were challenging for that Dragon.
Well, the advantage when you split 4-1 is that when you are a poke composition and you're splitting on 4-1 is that you actually lose the tank because they're setting the tank to split moves. So now Bangkok Titans easy poke out the rest of them, zone out the Taipei Snipers and pick up the Dragon for themselves. So
Bangkok Titans will pick up 2 successive Dragons for themselves, and this one being more valuable than the last one. So that will draw the goal lead closer again, and I think the Titan Snipers now, they really have to watch the map. I think they're a bit overzealous because, yes, they do have the open top lane inhibitor, but I think Zonda really needs to participate in this fight. It's quite crucial for him to be here because if he is not here, there's no frontliner to defend against this dive heavy composition, this dive from NDD and from Warlock as well. He can follow up with the Crow Storm and Kaiser as well with the Slicing Maelstrom. So I think now they might have to consider and regroup.
So the double assassin composition from Taipei Snipers here not really working in their favor as if Zonda goes stop the pressure, he presses advantage against Kaiser. What happens is that they lose their tank to deal out with the poke coming in from the side of Bangkok Titans.
Well, let's just say that I think the assassination potential is very well still there, but they don't really have the upfront damage to try to get those life bars of BKT low for them to finish them off. Because if you look at Orange, he's doing pretty well for himself. 4-0-0, no death as of yet. He has the Soul Stealer as well, so he is going to be looking to pick up kills, and I like this movement from him because he knows, I think he probably guessed that there was that ward in the Tri-Brush. And now that he is in the Tri-Brush, he will get spotted out by Lloyd, but still a lot of potential from there. The Crow Storm is not going to land. Might be jumping back into the fray.
So Oriel being spotted out there, should he still be around there as Vince is right around the corner?
And the spear goes down to him, he will run away from Lloyd. But that was just one exchange. As you look at the health from Lloyd now, he was down to half health, and once some more major items gets completed on Oriel, I cannot imagine the kind of burst that he will be able to shot.
So Oriel with I think a rather questionable choice of the Magi's in this case, considering that now Bangkok Titans is trying to slow down the game as much as possible and let Kaiser close the goal lead to Zonda to try and find a way to stop the Renekton from pushing the top lane. They know they have the superior wave clear and Ziggs. When you have Ziggs on your team, you can clear waves so you can actually delay the game for such a longer period of time to stop your opponent from pushing the advantage onto our objective so well.
Oh, there we go. Ace in the hole out onto Real, and that things a bit as well. O'Reilly will choose to back off. I think he's going back to try to get some more major items completed. Are we gonna see the needlessly large fraud? Nope, that's not the case. He is gonna go for the pink ward instead, just to maintain that vision control. And just like you mentioned, Kaiser, if he is given time to farm up in the top lane alone, will eventually be able to pick up the CS deficit he has against Zonda. But right now, Zonda still leads and bounds ahead. He is sitting on a 70 CS advantage against Kaiser, and he has that 2 kills under his belt as well. Under his Giant's belt, he's going to be finishing that up with a Sunfire's kick.
So actually the items on both sides of both teams actually being pretty well developed. On the side of Taipei Snipers, most of their assassins are starting to move in the period where the pulse spikes are starting to come into play. At this 20-minute mark is when Kha'Zix, when you really saw Kha'Zix start to get really scary and you can start to come in, instantly kill off people and get those resets going. And I think it's about this rate that Taipei Snipers should start trying to force team fights so as to get the double assassin composition rolling.
I think they really need the Croc to join them. They need that extra animal to unleash the beastly might onto Bangkok Titans, because they really don't have the frontliner to try to blast this way, and they cannot find Bangkok Titans in a bad position, which is great for the Titans if they want to keep themselves alive in this game. But if somehow Zonda can join with his team, regroup with his team, and just force a team fight just like what you mentioned, then the assassination potential will kick in. And now you have both Wins and Odin sticking next to each other. I think they might go for those double assassination. And for 2 assassins to jump into your face, snipe you down, it's quite dangerous.
But nonetheless, let's not forget that when you have 2 assassins jumping into the backlines of Bangkok Titans, if we actually see them fail, and with like we have already seen Wins already, that already happened twice on Wins, the Taipei Snipers can actually be punished quite heavily for that.
Yeah, exactly. So for Bangkok Titans, I have to say though, this is not like the Bangkok Titans that we have been used to seeing for the first few weeks at least. I think that they have been playing the game so far. Hold on now! Warlock gets caught out! And O'Reilly, he wants to go in for the kill now. And actually, Wins gets the kill with the spike. And this double assassination potential, you have to fear for it. I have met a lot of this. Warlock was so close to making out, but the voice spike just caught him that last chunk of damage there. And they look to pick up the blue buff for themselves. NDD is around the corner, might be available, and does look like Trestle will take that out. So Trestle secures, he owns blue buff.
I actually like this adaptation from Bangkok Titans. Usually when we see teams go up against the Taipei Snipers or other huge favorites, we tend to try to block all sorts of weird compositions and try and cheese the opponents out. But now this is the Bangkok Titans saying that we know we are not as mechanically sound as our opponents. So let's just play a very safe composition. Let's focus on wave clear, let's focus on poke. Let's stop the Taipei Snipers from taking all of our objectives. And I felt that they have done that really well this game. At this point of time, despite all the advantages the Taipei Snipers has managed to squeeze out from the Bangkok Titans, they only sits at a 3,000 goal lead.
And the Crowstorm being blocked by Warlock to find nobody to free. No party for Warlock tonight. And this is the second Crowstorm there. He's kind of messed up, but at least for him, he is playing the game relatively well. 2 kills for himself and 2 assists. He has that AP item, the prospect leader, and now Zonda is going to catch Kaiser in a bad position. Zoya's hourglass is going to come down, but he's not going to be able to escape, I think. Only down, just needs to jump into the fray, and he gets locked in by the slicing from. But he's still going to go down the process. Awe is going to block the shot for real. Mega in front of us, going to cut him down to pick up the kill on Awe, and Oriel has to run for his life. Very close call for Oriel there. He is really playing life dangerously.
So Taipei Snipers there playing a little bit risky, chasing into an area where they didn't really get a vision of, and Bangkok Titans identifying that they are kind of overextended and getting the defense kill for them.
And not only that, they are looking to take the dragon as well. If they do so, that is the third successive dragon that Bangkok Titans will keep. So, and that is going to be the case. And I have to say though, Bangkok Titans, they are keeping themselves alive just purely on all these dragons. And for them to be able to control that part of the map against the Taipei Snipers who are so well versed in the past of maintaining map control, I think that's a great progress for them.
You know, for this period of time, I've always seen Bangkok Titans defend, and they've done an excellent job of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Now the question is, when is their turn to turn on the offense? How well are they going to fare against the Taipei Snipers? I mean, we have seen them. I've really felt that their defense this game has been really solid. Their warding has been good. Their wall coverage, their vision of the Taipei Snipers has been really solid. Just look at the map at the moment. The amount of red color ward symbols you see is quite a lot. And I feel that this is what has allowed Bangkok Titans to stay in the game. And in fact, now they've actually even closed the goalie even further with the Dragon pickup.
You know what I feel Bangkok Titans they are looking to do? They don't want to go for the fight at all. They just want to let Void siege up the turret, and then if any form of engage comes down to them, then they do have the likes of Warlock as well as Kaiser if they are around the area. Use those slicing maelstrom, use the fear, use the silence just to create some distance for themselves. And if all else fails, you still have NDD. You still can use the Unstoppable Force as a defensive mechanism to stop the aggression from Taipei Snipers. And I love the gameplay here. Now Oriel jumping onto Lloyd. We'll choose to back off because his friends are here in the mid lane. You don't want to take out a kill now and then get a return kill because you are on a 5-0 killing spree.
So Lloyd at this point, he's already picked up the first point up and last whisper once again Kaiser manages to escape the crocodile. So what I was saying was that Lloyd is starting to hit these power spikes that Kaylin has. Now Kaylin isn't really the strongest in the middle game, but with the moment she gets the Phantom Dancer, her third core item, which is the Phantom Dancer and the last whisper, she actually starts to be able to shut towers really, really well.
And actually Taipei Snipers, they are going to brute force their way up in the top lane because it is an open inhibitor. And it's quite strange, you know, we saw this top lane being abused. 6 minutes in, the second turret went down, and I think subsequently in the early 10-minute mark, we saw the third lane, the inhibitor turret going down as well. But since then, Taipei Snipers, they haven't been able to find the advancement that they wanted to take out the inhibitor, and finally they are channeling their focus to the top lane.
Who needs a third when you've got a Trezor? Just look at the Ziggs chucking bombs like a boss.
Exactly, and we have always sung praises for Intereso for being the playmaker for Bangkok Titans, and he is doing exactly that, always buying time for his teammates and always creating that extra pressure that Taipei Snipers need to face up against. And now Kaiser facing up with Gunnar, and you know, for a guy who has been pressured so much and being camped out so much, he is slowly climbing back into the game. He has that holding guys now, has that Sonya's Hourglass. He will be able to contribute the team fights much more significantly than he has done before.
At this point of time, I can feel that Taipei Snipers might be starting to feel a little bit frustrated. They have all hit their power spikes already. At this point of time, their assassins want to be picking up those kills, want to be, LeBlanc wants to be stacking the Magi's, but at the moment, she only has got, I believe, 2 charges on it. And that doesn't really spell well for Taipei Snipers, because when you run these kind of double assassin comps, you don't really scale that well into the late game. I mean, you can really pick off people very well, but in a siege up situation, you lack the wave clear. They really lack wave clear. And I feel the Taipei Snipers should take a step back at this point of the game, let Bangkok Titans push the wall line forward, and when Bangkok Titans extends the wall line forward, they need to find a way around this and try to find pick-offs on their backline.
You know, for Taipei Snipers, they are the second on the table, and for Bangkok Titans, they are 5th on the table, and for them to go up in this matchup and have such a close goal gap for Bangkok Titans, I have to say it's really impressive. And so far from the match, from what I've seen, it's pretty much Taipei Snipers being sometimes overconfident and overzealous. That's why they have been making quite a fair bit of mistakes. And Bangkok Titans really keeping their gameplay very focused and also capitalizing on those mistakes that Taipei Snipers have made. And because of that, they are keeping their gameplay really close. And I think what Taipei Snipers need to do now is to wait for a chance for them to move in. And they, like we always have talked about, they really need Zonda back here.
Definitely, they definitely need the Crocodile back in the fights, because if the Crocodile's on route, we see Bangkok Titans consistently pushing them out, pressuring them out. We really see the mid lane turret go down. After Bangkok Titans decided to jump. Okay, so now this is the point. Bangkok Titans just started to push past the river. Can Taipei Snipers make something happen?
And actually, Vince is gonna join Zonda up. It does look like they are getting to a desperation point. They really want to get every third down. And now Warlock getting caught out.
Come on, Warlock.
And there we go, true shot rush, and there we go, unstoppable falls down. Mega Inferno Bomb is gonna land, and God JJ getting taken down to a really low amount of health. And Intresto joins the fray. He was looking for the satchel charge. That's not the case, and this was what we were talking about. If you want to send your carries to go and fight alone, you don't have those frontliners, your carries are just gonna suffer. Zonda is down, he's actually taking a whole lot of damage from Kaiser. He's turning things around. He does still have the dominance. He's gonna pop it and chase on to Kaiser, but that stun is just gonna slow him down in his car, and he will continue to pressure on. And this is gonna be a turnaround for Kaiser, I think, if he comes back around. And there we go, the teammates backing him up. Warlock, he wants to get a fear, and there we go, the fear. And is he gonna pull up with the shot? So everyone is just converging down onto Zonda. He will flash over the ledge. Bouncy Bomb's gonna hit him now, but is this gonna be what Bangkok Titans really want to be doing? To focus down on the tank, but he will take Zonda down in the process. So I guess at least for them, you know, that 3-man, 4-man attempt really paid off in exchange for a turret. So
that turret was very important. That turret was very important, because with the million turret now, Taipei Snipers can start to move in more freely into Bangkok Titans jungle, and they can get the flanking they need to avoid the poke and get onto Lloyd or Warlock.
Zonda is still the respawn timer, so Bangkok Titans, once Kaiser joins into the fray, it's going to be a 5v4 engage. And even though Warlock is pretty low and Intresto as well, I feel like this is a fight that they could possibly take. We are gonna go ahead and jump onto the dragon. Yeah, this is gonna be the 4th consecutive dragon that Bangkok Titans have taken, and they are now in the goal lead.
Bangkok Titans taking goal lead against second place Taipei Snipers. I felt that actually there was a misplay there from Taipei Snipers. They should have identified that they are unable to contest the turret and actually gone for this bottom lane turret as they're doing now. They actually wasted time around Baron and
going for a base race.
My goodness.
This is gonna be a base race, and there's gonna be 5 members pushing down in the base of Taipei Snipers.
This is smart.
This is a bad base race, so both of them are going at it, and Bangkok Titans, they are the first one to take out the mid lane turret and inhibitor as well, so they will trade inhibitor for turret. Are they gonna close out the game, really? So Bangkok Titans now, they will choose to back up for a bit. And Taipei Snipers, they will respond to this. Got JJ now left alone in the bottom lane to take out the inhibitor for himself. And he does have the player of the ring, so he will finish the job here. So base race for Bangkok Titans, they open up the map, and meanwhile in the mid lane, and we have someone actually going down. Awe is the first to drop as Intresto just everyone stacking damage onto him. Zonda now left to fight alone, and everyone jumping in the fray. This is the upfront damage. Intresto is gonna go down, and Oriol Wins has their sight set on NDD, as NDD has to choose to run double kill now onto Wins, and the double assassination potential is coming back alive. Kaiser now putting on the hurt, and the shutdown goes down to Kaiser as he gets the extra 500 gold in the pocket. Wins now chasing on to Kaiser. He is going to have his sleep out very soon. The slow does not connect onto Kaiser as God JJ and Wins will choose to back off. In the end, it was a 3-for-3 exchange.
So both teams going even in this exchange here, but I kind of felt the Taipei Snipers came out slightly ahead in that engagement state, simply because of the situation of the base race, they actually managed to pick up an inhibitor turret, which is what they exactly needed. As we take a replay as what happened in the fight.
So take me through this, J-Storm.
So what we see here is interest bouncing up to nothing, because I think that's a spectator advantage here.
Yep, there we go. We are waiting for the big team fight that eventually popped down.
Here we go, Warlock from the side, Coco comes in and straight away onto Awe. So Awe is the first focus of the team. NDD hits his combo onto only one person. Kaiser pops the Maelstrom and he doesn't really catch anyone inside it. So this is very good team fighting from Taipei Snipers, splitting up so as to make sure that the wombo cover from Bangkok Titans does minimal damage to the team. So we see Zonda actually using the clears to do as much damage to the team of Bangkok Titans as much as possible. So now Ore and Wins now the double assassins combination coming in and racking up the backline, but now it's the Kaiser show. So Kaiser comes in onto Ore and drops Ore really low, and now this is the point where Ore is basically dead the moment he has to pop his Sonya. And Ore goes down.
Let's do it. So back into this game. Bangkok Titans now maintaining that goal advantage against Taipei Snipers. Both teams now dead even 35 minutes in. And I guess for Bangkok Titans, they are very familiar with late game matchups because so far in the Garena Premier League, they are one of the few teams to have gone into those super late game stages where they have played those 60-minute, 70-minute games, and they definitely have a lot of experience. And now Kaiser! It's gonna catch Kaiser off, but I think it's gonna go down here. So no questions. Oh! Unstoppable Force is gonna airball! And Taipei Snipers now catching them. Bangkok Titans in a bad position. Wins will jump into the fray, and that is gonna be the cleanup for Taipei Snipers. And NDD is gonna follow suit as well. So in the end, it was a 4-for-0 to the advantage of Taipei Snipers, just as we were singing praises for Bangkok Titans, and Kaiser there making a huge positional error for Taipei Snipers to catch on.
So with the inhibitor open now, Taipei Snipers will be looking to pick that up. I think it's the casters, because we praise the team, and the moment we start praising them, they just decide to do something really.
It's the casters.
Yeah, it's the casters.
So, Taipei Snipers now, with all their members being alive, they will choose to take out the top lane inhibitor first. Space for himself, will now zoning away in Trestle in case he tries to come and to defend away. It doesn't look like that's not the case. O'Reilly now will back up. So the top lane inhibitor is down and bottom lane as well for BKT. So Super Minions will march into the base to put on some pressure.
The recruit inhibitors now just really never want to find yourself in a situation, especially when you want to make your seasonal position, where you want to farm your opponent into a single way. Because when now we have so much pressure going on all these top lanes, well, Taipei Snipers can do things like pick up Baron and kind of force you away. Oh, goes down.
Well, actually, Vince is gonna pick up the Baron, but some return kills not coming in. That's why he's gonna throw down the Mega Inferno Bomb, though that's on cooldown now. So in the end, it was only Wins that sacrificed for Taipei Snipers. Kaiser flashing over the ledge, trying to find the kill onto Zonda, but doesn't have a. So now Bangkok Titans on the return push. So are they gonna punish Taipei Snipers now for taking away the Baron? Is this gonna be the game for Bangkok Titans?
Bangkok Titans needs to win now.
They have to risk it all. They have to go for the push here. And this is almost a desperation move now. They really need to close up again before
15 seconds. 14 seconds.
And now O'Reilly now joins into the fray and launches it right by the side. Slicing out 4-man knockout for Zonda. And that is going to be the return. The counter engage for Taipei Snipers. Zonda picks up 2 kills. Got JJ as well. 2 double kills on the team. Interested in the world of trouble. And it's going to be O'Reilly that picks up a kill. So that is going to be the ace for Taipei Snipers, with Baron Boss now living on 3 members of Taipei Snipers. They could close out the game.
Well, I felt that at the point of time, Bangkok Titans, they knew that they had 2 inhibitors down, and as a siege composition, at a point they were effectively dead. So they identified the fact that 2 members of Taipei Snipers were dead, and they went in for a desperation move. They tried to down the Nexus. However, the wave clear on the side of Taipei Snipers was successful from defending of the creeps, and Taipei Snipers managed to pick up a key place for themselves.
Right, so with that, it's gonna be Taipei Snipers looking to close off the game as the first Nexus as well as the second Nexus goes down. It's gonna be a game for Taipei Snipers as they pick up the victory against the Bangkok Titans here tonight.